Defense Secretary Robert Gates wants to cut weapons spending. Congressmen, meantime, want to keep their jobs. And that conflict has started a war on Capitol Hill. Bloomberg's Megan Hughes has this report from D.C.
One of the most effective weapons being deployed in firefights in the rocky terrain of Afghanistan is the unmanned drone. It puts fewer troops in harm's way, and at around $5 million, it's relatively cheap. It's the kind of spending Defense Secretary Robert Gates likes. What the military doesn't need, he says, is an alternative engine for the F-35 new Joint Strike Fighter, now up to $112 million, or more C-17 cargo planes, up to $330 million per plane. Gates is calling for both to be cut in the 2012 budget, saying spending must come down.
The gusher has been turned off and will stay off for a good period of time.
That gusher started after September 11th. The Pentagon's base budget more than doubled since then, not including the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And in that time, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and Northrop Grumman have seen their stocks skyrocket. But now Gates argues the wars America is fighting are most effectively fought with cheaper, smaller weapons. So defense analyst Richard Abulafia says that growth isn't likely to continue.
You look at a couple of markets in the defense budget. Well, very few are really growth markets. UAVs and drones come to mind.
But lawmakers on Capitol Hill are pushing back and hoping to protect jobs in their home districts. This week, a House panel voted for the Pentagon to move ahead with that F-35 engine.
The Pentagon agreed with us for 10 years. For 10 years, they funded the alternative engine, poured a lot of money into it, and now they've stopped before we've actually completed production of it.
And Megan Hughes is with us now. Megan, you can really see how divisive that debate is becoming.
That's right, and Secretary Gates is actually advising President Obama to veto any legislation that contains funding for that alternate engine that we were talking about or any more C-17s.
Megan, is there any concern that maybe sometime in the future we might run into a conflict with another superpower and need those high-tech, big-ticket weapons that Secretary Gates wants to get rid of, at least in the near term?
It's a good question, and it's one that Secretary Gates has been fielding a lot. And he says if you take a look at the military run-up over the past 10 years, the United States military, it really far surpasses any military around the globe. To give you some perspective on this, he says the U.S. battle fleet has more power right now than any of the next 13 navies combined, and 11 of those are U.S. allies.